Is Russia going to invade Ukraine, and what does Putin want? To know more about Russia-Ukraine crisis, subscribe our channel. Russia's Vladimir Putin has repeatedly denied planning to attack Ukraine, but the US president believes he has decided to invade. An estimated 150,000 Russian troops are positioned within reach of Ukraine's borders. What happens next could jeopardize Europe's entire security structure. How serious is the threat of invasion? For months the US said it did not think a final decision had been made, but on February 18, President Joe Biden said he believed Mr. Putin had decided to attack in the coming days. Russia is adamant it has no plans to attack Ukraine, a country of 44 million people. But it is before, in 2014, when it seized Crimea and backed a conflict in Ukraine's eastern Donbass region. How big is Russia's military buildup? According to the US, Russia has moved more than 150,000 troops close to Ukraine's borders, both in Russia and in Belarus. A US defense official says 40 to 50% are in an attack position. President Putin has insisted Russia does not want war and is ready to negotiate. But he has also threatened appropriate retaliatory military technical measures if his demands for security guarantees are not met. Why is Russia threatening Ukraine? Russia has long resisted Ukraine's move towards European institutions, both NATO and the EU. Its core demand now is for the West to guarantee Ukraine will not join NATO, a defensive alliance of 30 countries. Ukraine shares borders with both the EU and Russia, but as a former Soviet republic it has deep social and cultural ties with Russia, and Russian is widely spoken there. When Ukrainians deposed their pro-Russian president in early 2014, Russia annexed Ukraine's southern Crimean peninsula and backed separatists, who captured large swathes of eastern Ukraine. The rebels have fought the Ukrainian military ever since in a conflict that has claimed more than 14,000 lives. How might Russia attack? Much of the attention is on eastern Ukraine, but President Biden has warned, we believe they will target Ukraine's capital Kiev, a city of 2.8 million innocent people. Moscow has insisted there is no Russian invasion, but if there is, Russia can mobilize troops in Crimea, Belarus, and around Ukraine's eastern borders. It is in the rebel-held east that an information war is already underway, with the West highlighting a series of Russian steps that could be used as a pretext for war. Separatist leaders have ordered the evacuation of some 700,000 civilians to southern Russia and ordered a full military mobilization. Russia has handed out some 700,000 passports in rebel-run areas, so it could argue any action is aimed at protecting its own citizens. Moscow has made unfounded accusations that Ukraine has committed genocide in the east and is planning an offensive there. There has been a surge in ceasefire violations on both sides, but Ukraine's armed forces chief Valery Zaluzny says his troops only fire back when civilians' lives are under threat. What does Putin want? Russia has spoken of a moment of truth in recasting its relationship with NATO and has highlighted three demands. First, it wants a legally binding pledge that NATO does not expand further. For us it's absolutely mandatory to ensure Ukraine never, ever becomes a member of NATO, said Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov. Mr. Putin has complained Russia has nowhere further to retreat to. Do they think we'll just sit idly by? What NATO says? NATO is a defensive alliance with an open-door policy to new members, and its 30 member states are adamant that will not change. Even if Ukraine is looking for a clear timeline to join NATO, there is no prospect of it happening for a long time, as Germany's chancellor has made clear. How far will the West go for Ukraine? The US and other NATO allies have made clear they have no plans to send combat troops to Ukraine itself, but they are instead offering support, in the form of advisors, weapons, and field hospitals. The Pentagon has put 8,500 combat-ready troops on alert and is deploying 3,000 extra soldiers to Germany, Romania, and Poland. Other NATO allies have beefed up their support on the alliance's eastern flank. Is there a diplomatic solution? Any deal would have to cover both the war in eastern Ukraine and the wider security issue. Talks on the conflict have been taking place involving Russia, Ukraine, France and Germany on reviving the Minsk peace agreements of 2014 and 2015, but they have so far failed to find a breakthrough. Ukraine believes they gave away too much to Russia and the separatists. Like it or not, my beauty, you have to put up with it, were President Putin's words on the issue to Ukraine's leader.